The TDA, developing people, improving young lives.
At the beginning of the school year, Shemaina Korodudu set performance management targets with her head teacher. 6 months later, they're about to review her progress.
Today I'll be going through my performance management review. I'll be doing a lesson which will be observed by the head teacher. We'll then meet later on in the day and we'll look at what the strengths are of the lesson, what the weaknesses are, how to move forward, that sort of thing. The good thing about it is we're going to talk about how we can improve my own professional development. I'm quite comfortable with it because it's usually fair and open and transparent. It's not that I'm going to have targets thrown at me, so to speak. We're going to do it together.
The school has had a bit of an interesting past. It was in special measures for 5.5 years. We have 26 different ethnicities in the school. We have 23 different languages spoken.
Right, quickly, in you go. And close the door for me, Absana, please.
The school has made significant improvements, really. We've been at the bottom of the league table. We know what that was like. And it was very nice last year because we were the third most improved primary school in the country. Performance management had a huge part to play in the way the school moved forward.
Using performance management as a tool for school improvement involves a big commitment of the head teacher's time. She reviews teaching and learning progress with each teacher 3 times a year and always starts with observing a lesson. Shemaina's class on measuring and drawing angles has only just begun.
Right, angle, obtuse and bigger. These are some of the words that we'll be using in our learning. So while I'm walking around the table, while you're talking with your partners, I'd like to hear these words in your discussion. Let's read through the words. It's very good that the head teacher observes the lessons to see that I'm giving the children the challenge and support that they need. So what you'll need to do is to measure the angle. Being observed has become a part of me, really. Having been in this school for so long, we've had numerous observations, so to be honest, I've got used to it. Right, so that right there, I'll now need to start.
One of the very first things I did when I came here was to get every member of staff out on their own for half a day in my office with me to talk about where they were professionally, where their skills and expertise lay, where they wanted to develop, and to work out how I was going to be able to use their skills and support them to do the job, the very hard job I needed them to do. Shemaina was here when I first came. She had not been at the school for very long and her performance was satisfactory, but I could see great potential in Shemaina. She's a very reflective learner.
I can remember very earlier on in my career, I was quite, chalk and talk teacher, really. Why have you just shifted? I remember when I had my first performance review, things like making sure that I involve all the children in the main teaching activity and using the questions to incorporate everybody. That was one of the things that came up. What does she need to do to make sure that she's approaching it correctly? What does she need to do? Ikram?
She needs to put the T exactly on the vertex.
Put the T exactly on the vertex. Now, what does she need to do next to be able to measure to the nearest degree? What does she need to do next? Let's say from somebody who hasn't said anything. Kieran, what does she now need to do? Somebody to help Kieran? Alvin?
Because there's the degrees up top, so she needs to look around to see what degrees it is.
How many degrees do we start counting from?
From 0 degree, from 10.
Okay, so 0, 1, 2, and we move up.
What I've seen over the last 6 years is Shemaina develop from someone who was a satisfactory teacher with some areas to develop to someone who's now consistently good, very good, with fantastic pupil progress.
And now I look back at it, I think, wow, I've passed, I've grown so much. Performance management has done a whole lot for me. Right, let's see who's ready. Put your
One of
whiteboard together.
Shemaine's targets for the current year is to raise the levels of achievement of a group of 7 pupils.
In my last performance management review, my head and I went through the list. We identified a specific group that was below the expected level, and we've set targets for them. I've devised a plan so that they are given additional support in maths and English on a weekly basis.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand these place value cards out to you.
The most important thing in this school is that all children make progress, and where children are not making expected or better progress, then we need to look at how we can make sure that that's going to happen.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. 406. Get 406 up and hold them up once you've got it.
It's about making sure those children are on track to achieve at least the national average by year 6.
Everyone's got that? Okay, excellent. Well done.
I'm not the one, who's actually standing in front of those children every day. It's the teachers. And so my job is to make sure that they have everything they need to teach well, and to make sure that that's what they're doing.
What type of angle is number 1? Acute angle. Could you write the name of the angle?
After we've set the targets, we'll make sure all the things that we've agreed in terms of support and resourcing are put in place. And then 6 months down the line, so I'll do another observation and give them specific feedback on that lesson. And we'll sit down, we'll look at those specific target children and the progress they've made in writing, reading and maths.
Let's go to the 4th one.
90.
I don't want you to use your protractors at this point. I'd like you to look carefully at the 4th angle. Look at the 4th angle. Does it look smaller or bigger than the right angle?
Bigger.
Have a good look at it. Have a good look. Have a good look at it. I think the lesson went very well. Most children made progress, and that's what I wanted.
It reminds me of when things go like that. It reminds me of it goes low and that goes, if it goes that way, it goes big and it's like that.
Obviously, there was a target group that had to be constantly reminded of the size of angles, the names of angles, whether they were bigger and smaller, that sort of thing. What's the vocabulary I'd like you to use in the discussion on the table?
Right,
Rectangle, obtuse angle.
T,
If I were to do this lesson again, I would restrict it to just measuring angles because they need a lot of practice with that. The following lesson could be about drawing the angles. I'm going to ask that you stop. I'm always very reflective, looking at what I can do to take the lesson up to another level. Everyone to look this way, because I'd just like to clarify something that some people were struggling with.
It was a really nice maths lesson. I really enjoyed coming up and seeing the children. We'll go over the lesson first of all, and then we'll have a look at the pupil progress. Just jump in if there's anything that you see. Nice, clear learning intention, which you always have anyway, knowing how to measure and draw angles to the nearest degree. Your questioning was really good and open, which is, really good movement forward for you. That's something that you've worked on hard, and it really is good now. Pace, the pace moved along really well. And given that this has been an issue for you in the past, it was really great to see you gave them enough time on the carpet to give very clear explanation and go over things. But because you kept the pace going, the children had plenty of time to go off and practice and complete the task. They did need support once they went to the tables, but then they did manage to do the tasks well. And I thought it was quite challenging for a lot of them. I thought the level of challenge was high, but they did very well with it. Teachers are by nature very, They are not people that put themselves forward and say, I'm really good at this. They find that hard. So I think it's important that as head of the school, I do that with them. So just looking at the categories, the Ofsted categories, it's an absolutely good, solidly good lesson. The thing that would have made it outstanding, I think, would have been if the children had needed less support and been able to move on that little bit more. And I think possibly as well, it may have been better if in this lesson you'd done the measuring, concentrating on the measuring, and then in the next lesson done drawing of the angles.
Well, I must say I do agree with what you picked up about the having the double learning intention. But saying that, I must say that I've noticed the higher attaining children, they rose to that challenge and they measured it and, measured and drew them really well.
Okay, so let's have a look at the pupil progress. If we look at children, like Adebisi, she's made phenomenal progress. I mean, here's the level of expected progress. She's way out here. It's great. It's fantastic because there is that danger, isn't there, with high ability children that they can mark time. So I'm delighted to see that those children are also making progress. I mean, look at this,
It's great that it's all blues.
1A to 2B in such a short space of time. That's really good. And given that English is his additional language, he didn't speak a word of English when he got here. He's doing remarkably well because, in reading particularly. It's just these three here that we need to think about. They haven't made expected progress. Tell me what sorts of things you're going to do, for these three children. What other things do you think that we can do or something I can do that's going to help with these three?
Right, I think they need additional support. Possibly if we could do a lot of the springboard practice twice per week, get them to work with Darren.
So they're doing springboard once a week, so increase that to twice a week.
Yes, and also to get parents involved and talk to parents about what we can do to extend the learning beyond school to home.
The majority of the target children are actually making progress, so if we can sort of include all of them. But Shemaine's doing extremely well with her targets, all her targets, but I'm particularly pleased about the pupil progress targets. Really well. I think performance management is one of the most important things that you can do for staff. It's a real opportunity to sit down and have quality individual time with a member of staff, where teachers are going to walk away feeling like they have got something out of it, that it's for them to develop as professionals, to be treated like professionals. But what I don't want you to forget, Shemaine, is that, in looking at this, there are only a few children that haven't made expected, and in lots of these cases, significantly better than expected progress. That doesn't happen without your good teaching, so well done to you, because that's what's making the difference.